Namaste, Jai Hind. There is a lot that's happening in Bangladesh, and the atrocities being committed on the minorities in Bangladesh ever since the regime change has been a point of discussion and discourse across the board. Minorities, largely Hindus. On the one hand, there is this allegation that there has been a whitewash that's being attempted by the Western media on actually what's happening on ground. There seems to be an absolute denial of what's going on. Nations, entities, NGOs, organizations, media houses in the West who jump at the first opportunity to highlight or perhaps create a particular narrative around the safety of minorities in Bharat seem to be totally mute when it comes to Bangladesh. Is this true, or is this perhaps another narrative that's being pushed by a particular lobby which is seriously concerned about what's happening with Hindus in Bangladesh? And many more people have come out and asked this question. On the other hand, there is this group which is very clearly said, and there is proof, and trying to back it with proof on what's happening in nearly about 29 to 30 districts out of the 64 districts in Bangladesh. And has the nation taken an absolutely radical turn? There are nearly 13 million Hindus in Bangladesh, 1.3 crore, and a lot of them are very proudly Bangladeshi. But are they also worried about the fate that awaits them in the near future? Let's go straight across to Abhijit Majumdar and Bikram Banerjee. Abhijit Majumdar, a senior journalist, and he's been very, very vocal about not only what's happening in Bangladesh, but also quite vocal about what's happening closer home in Bengal. Bikram Banerjee works with the Bangli UK organization and is working with the interest of the Bangli Hindus in the United Kingdom. And he has been at the forefront of raising attention or drawing attention towards what's happening back in his homeland, that is Bangladesh. Bikram, let me first ask you this. Where do you stand? Do you agree with certain NGOs and groups which are trying to say a lot of what's being orchestrated is being done by Bharat, including the floods that happened in Bangladesh, and that there are more people protecting Hindus in Bangladesh rather than attacking them? So it is again Bharat and a lot of Bharatiya vested interests who are deliberately trying to push a false narrative. Let me ask you, as a person who has his roots in Bangladesh, what do you think is the truth?
Namaste, and thanks for inviting me this discussion. The fact of the matter is we are actually working with on the ground with organizations and victims and families and collecting the data. And we have a report which is published in one of the websites inside UK, one of the leading activism related organization. So we have a data backed report which is to be published in front of Foreign Office, United Kingdom. There are atrocities happening, and if you use the word atrocities, it is just reducing what is happening. It is a genocide. And this is the recent series of genocide. There is a series of violence before partition, post-partition, 1971, 2001, even 2021, during Durga Puja in Bangladesh. And we had to organize a big protest. It was attacked ISKCON temple. The narrative that is being peddled is completely false narrative, especially BBC as well. They have been complete denial. They try to portray that there was no attack in minorities, or this is being amplified, or it is a political violence. It's not political violence because it is targeted to minorities, especially Hindus. So it's whatever they're saying is completely wrong without any facts and data. And we are being supported by facts and data. I want to correct a little bit. I live in UK. I am from Calcutta, but my forefathers had to flee. They are from actually district Khulna. My grandparent from Khulna, and today there was a barbaric incident happened, lynching happened, a young age Khulna itself.
What is the data that you have compiled? What are the numbers? You said that this report's been published on a platform in the United Kingdom. Can you share some of the numbers with us?
Yeah, so it is ever growing. If we only consider this time's data, we have, as you mentioned, 29 districts impacted. More than 15,000 plus people they have displaced. Many of them underreported. They're living with somewhere else. They left their villages, etc. Underground. There was rape happen. We have data like video footage, reports, etc., victims' name, more than 160, which we can prove with evidences. But if you think about that, this is just a tip of the iceberg. It's amplified, etc. And then there was another type of incident started happening recently, lately, and which was reported, and we also captured those data. The Hindu minorities, they are very patriotic. They fought the Bangladesh war, and they are part of education system. They are professor, teacher, government institution, etc., etc. And they have been forced to, many of them forced to resign. So there is a pattern is happening where they're saying, okay, you need to leave the administration, you need to leave the education system. Even doctors being targeted. So it's a horrific situation. West is quiet.
Just a quick follow-up question, Vikram. The counter is that they are not being targeted because it's Hindus, but it's political violence because a lot of them were Awami League supporters. Is there any truth to this argument?
This is completely wrong, because if you look at all the violence happen, and if I only talk about these 160 reports which we have absolute data-backed evidences, you will find maybe 4 or 5, they have some distance connection with the Awami League. They are either activists or party members. Rest of them, they have nothing to do with politics. They are not involved in any politics, not even their social media posts, etc. If there is some of them, they are from the town or Dhaka or some other towns, there is no evidence that they are connected with any political party. If you think about, so that's a completely false narrative. This is that whataboutery. So this is to reduce that Hindu genocide narrative, the fact, the truth, to hide, to say, oh, this is the political violence. It's not. If there is a political, it's not. If there is a political violence, let's do some mathematics, right? We have 8% or 9% of the minorities, and if the violence that is, say for example, 50% of the population, they are Awami Leagues, or 40% population is Awami League supporter. So if there is total violence that is reported, then out of that, suppose all 8% people are Awami League supporters, so it comes total incidents, less than 15-16% should be on the minorities. Whereas if you look at the statistics, you will find 80 to 90% are attack on minorities, only 5 to 10% on the other majority communities who belongs to the political class and political supporters of Awami League.
So you believe that that argument is unfounded. But Abhijit Majumdar, there have been images that have been pushed about how Bangladeshi Muslims are standing vigil outside temples in Bangladesh, Hindu institutions in Bangladesh. They are protecting Hindus in Bangladesh. Muhammad Yunus turns around and says Bharat needs to drop this narrative that everyone other than Sheikh Hasina is an Islamist in Bangladesh.
Yeah, but that's fantastic PR that they did very early on. But that mask has come off, Anand, very long time ago. I mean, what has been happening, and I agree with Vikram, maybe in the initial days when just after Hasina was taken out, there could have been attacks on Hindus who are, there have been attacks on anybody who was associated with Awami League. A lot of Muslims were attacked. There is no doubt about it. And along with it, Hindu minorities who were associated with Awami League were also attacked. But what unfolded from, day 2, 3, 4, 5 was, once the cops were off the streets, once the army confined itself to the barracks, to the camp, then Jamaat got a complete free play, free hand. As you can see, they are dictating terms. And I'm sorry to say, I interviewed Professor Yunus just 2 days before he took over as the caretaker, the head of the caretaker government. And I have respect for his work. But he is not in control. He has not been able to control anything. He's just taking instructions from Jamaat. The Ansarullah Bangla team head, Jasimuddin, has been freed. There are people within the student movement who are now there are very strong suspicions that they are Jamaat backed, and they have been in touch with Jamaat, and not just Jamaat, but Hizbut Tahrir, which is a even more radical outfit. And so this has not been, this whole narrative is completely false. It is, if this kind of a violence happened against Muslims in India, just imagine the kind of backlash, the kind of international screaming, shouting, Hai Toba, which, that would have emerged, that would have happened. Now, there is one aspect to it, Anand, which I want to sort of bring out at the outset.
Right.
Now, we are extremely outraged, angry, hurt about what's happening in Bangladesh. The boy who was, beaten to death, or probably
Lynched.
he's struggling for his life. We don't know, in Khulna. 18-year-old boy. You think he's a Army League member or whatever? 18-year-old for some blasphemy about prophet, whatever. The forces and cops both were there. They just neatly handed them over to Jamaat. But anyway, there, and also Vikram, the data that I've got from CDP HR is that not 29, 30, but 52 districts are affected. There have been attacks in 52 districts. That may be true, Anand, but I'll just take you through, very quickly some data here. 154 Hindus killed, 66 women raped, 33 forced to eat beef, 519 houses torched, and 891 families were attacked in 1 year. This is according to figures compiled by Bangladesh Jatiyo Hindu Mahajot.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the fact is, the other question is that if this is what was happening again during the regime of a friend in Sheikh Hasina, what's going to happen now when those outfits which are banned, some of them which have been designated terrorist and proscribed organizations, are going to have a free run on the streets of Bangladesh? So that's one question. Bikram, you have thoughts there before I take the latter part of Abhijit's observation forward? Yeah.
I concur with that observation, because this is not a new incident. It's a manifestation, and intensity has increased, which is a series of genocide happening for centuries, and recently from pre-partition, direct action, Noakhali riots 1946 and so on. And then systematic decay of ethnic minorities, Hindus particularly, from 24% to 8% is the evidence of that. Sheikh Hasina's government, at least for the sake of their global image and bit of a moderate secular image, was trying to do something. Still, they could not control it. And then violence happened. Now it is absolutely free run, and at the moment the design is to reduce the minority population even further, denial of their human rights, access to education, etc. You see that they will be removed from the organization, schools, etc., the institutions. So this is a horrific thing. I personally feel international community and Indian government to do more. There should be a safe passage. This is the humanitarian crisis. Within Bangladesh, there should be a section of the safe passage zone, which should be under the control of international community. Otherwise, this problem will not go.
No, but that is something that way you are actually justifying, and you are allowing somebody to get away with something so brazen, and that nation can do whatever it wants. So, but what do you expect the Indian government to do, Abhijit Majumdar? Because these are Bangladeshi Hindus, these are Bangladeshi. Bangladesh government has to take care of them. Do you believe that Indian government should open its doors for 1.3 crore Bangladeshi Hindus?
Let there be a population exchange. Then let there be a
No,
population exchange. Let 2 or 3 crore Bangladeshi Muslims who illegally live in India be returned to Bangladesh
no,
and
how
give the Hindus
you're
safe
saying
passage.
something, but that's not practical. You
No,
can't
sir, that is not
you can't
practical.
return,
So why?
you
No,
can't deport, and you can't forcefully out 5,000 registered Rohingyas, right? You can't send them back. You are saying that nearly 4 crore of illegal Bangladeshis and Rohingyas who are in our country should be actually repatriated or sent back. How is that going to
It
happen?
is impractical. It
That's
is
not going to happen.
impractical.
One, two.
no,
Now,
I'm not asking
and
that.
should Bangladesh, should Bharat not engage with the subsequent Bangladesh government? Because you know that the Chinese envoy has already gone and sat there with the Jamaat in the Jamaat headquarters.
Exactly. That is what Bharat has not done. Bharat has kept looking at Bangladesh through the prism of Mukti Juddha, which happened in 1971, Anand. There are people, the student protesters, the entire generation has not have no clue about what happened in Mukti Juddha, who they don't care. It's like saying that you topple the Congress. How did the Congress government, go in 2014? Was it because of emergency or Shabanu? Or even Ram Janmabhoomi movement? It was not, no? It was more contemporary issues like 2611, like 66A, etc. So if you keep looking at Bangladesh through the prism of 71 and whoever fought then, because the Sheikh Hasina family was there, we did not, and I am putting this out on record, we did not open channels with BNP. We should have even opened channels with Jamaat properly. We have not done it. Why are we in an advantageous position in Afghanistan despite what Pakistan has done and the complete cowardly capitulation of the US? It is because we had, lines to the Taliban. We had open channels to the Taliban that we are now in a controlling situation in Afghanistan. We are not, we are in a position of strength. We are in a position of influencing what happens in the region. But in Bangladesh, we put all eggs in one basket. That is Sheikh Hasina. And Sheikh Hasina, her father's role in 1971 war, okay, fine, India helped them, help liberate Bangladesh, but we should have kept in mind that Bangladesh ultimately is a Muslim dominated population, Muslim dominated nation. The whole pressures of Sharia, Islamism, etc., are, work ceaselessly, relentlessly. We should have taken care of that. We should have opened channels to BNP. Who knows? Maybe we would have had Laddu in both our hands if we had channels open to the BNP. And BNP now, Anand, again, a very important point. BNP and Jamaat are now at loggerheads. BNP and Jamaat are now, Jamaat's Amir, this Shafiqur Rahman,
Yeah.
openly, publicly saying that, do you want Jamaat to support a BNP government? And his supporters are saying no. Today, BNP has announced that whoever is attacking, taking away cattle from Hindus will be compensated and stuff like that. And these are all Jamaatis who are doing it. So there is a Jamaat is so confident now that it feels that it doesn't even need the BNP to come to power.
Right. Bikram?
Yeah, my comment was not to just open the border because CA is there. If that is the last resort. My comment was within Bangladesh there are districts where Hindu population are 30%, 40%, close to 50%, only few districts. There should be a territory within Bangladesh. If Bangladesh government is failed to protect their citizen constitution duty, then there must be a corridor which is called, as per international law, there's a safe corridor, a place where Hindus will be allowed to live and they will be under the control of international community. And that could be a safe place where rest of the country, whatever they are trying to do, they can do. But this place within the Bangladesh, there should
But
be a safe place for
Bikram, how is that a solution? That is not what Bangladesh was ideals were. If there are radical elements, then those radical elements need to come, and Bangladesh civil society has to come, because otherwise then what it means is that the entire Bangladesh population is radical. Are we saying that the entire Bangladeshi population are radical?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
So then
There
how do you,
are,
so
there
the
is,
moment you ask for a corridor, moment you say let's segregate this area and keep that for Hindus and let the Muslims live elsewhere, you are automatically creating a permanent divide. There will never be a secular atmosphere or the possibility of radicalism going away.
So I hope that what you're saying, that radicalism go away or reduced and stay under control in Bangladesh. What I'm talking about the solution, if it doesn't stop, actually it will amplify even more. If Jamaat comes to power, if BNP comes to power, it will amplify. But Jamaat, if they comes to power and they are loggerhead, which is a different political situation, the opposition space will be, or political space will be taken over by two parties in absence of Army League. Then if Jamaat comes, then we are talking about Bangladesh is heading towards becoming Pakistan and eventually Afghanistan.
So then are you saying that the entire Muslim moderate group who do not believe in this radicalism will capitulate to a bunch of radicals in Bangladesh? Is that what you're saying?
That is the risk is there, because there's a ever growing indication that Bangladesh is heading towards that. Having said that, we can always believe and hope that the moderate and civilized society, Muslim society in Bangladesh, those who believe in the Bangladeshi identity, the Bengali identity, come forward. They will win over this evil, the Jamaat force. That could happen, but for that, I think there is a detail level engagement and support. But thing is that we can hope for that. We should engage with that. International community should provide support to those groups and entities, and they should be vocal about that. Only when there is external support and voice, this moderate element will be able to gain their momentum and power.
But what is
But
what is your understanding, Abhijit and also Bikram? Both of you take this question, that in this case of Khulna, where this youth was lynched, if it was happening under the vision of the sight of the forces and the cops, and we also saw during the time of the regime change how some of the cops and how some of the barracks actually behaved, are you then worried that even their armed forces are radicalized highly, Abhijit? The cops are radicalized?
Yes.
Or is it a temporary phase and there will be a certain sense of moderation, semblance of sanity that will come back?
There has been a systematic infiltration of the army by Jamaat. The Supreme Court Bar Association, if I'm not wrong, of Bangladesh, is the Jamaati faction is ruling. So there has been Jamaat. What Jamaat, the registered members that they had in 2012, 2013, that registered members have grown by four times. So there is it's a very, very serious situation. It is a very, very serious situation. India has to sort of get involved. It cannot forever wait and watch. If at all there is a call for an autonomous council area where minorities feel safe, that should come from them. That should come, that demand, that movement has to come from within Bangladesh. Then India can see what India can do.
Because unlike Israel, where you have the right to return, Bharat has not taken the position of saying this is Hindustan in the true sense, that any and every Hindu has the right to return here, and we will proclaim ourselves a majoritarian state in terms of the Hinduvad. That's not something that Bharat stands for. So aside of raising this concern, addressing it with a Nobel laureate like Mohammad Yunus, who's in charge right now of that interim government, what more can Bharat do, Bikram?
I think we can do a lot. First of all, we are trying to do something which is called through diplomatic channel. We are talking to the existing regime, creating pressure, and the existing regime is incapable or not willing to. I am giving the doubt they are incapable. Probably there is some degree of willingness of the current regime. Second thing, we have to be more direct and active. I do agree that autonomous area, autonomous council could be demand from Bangladesh, but we don't have to wait for Bangladesh, because any countries in the United Nations can actually put a resolution in United Nations, and then other countries can support.
Perhaps the larger solution, gentlemen, and I leave our audience and you with this thought, is if Bharat gets the kind of economic heft that we aspire to do, not by 2047, but by 2037. If we as a nation become economically strong, then we have the power to try and control these kind of radical elements from running amok, and also influencing state policy and how nations need to conduct themselves in the region. Think about this. Is that what we need to aspire for before we can correct all of this? I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Abhijit Majumdar and Bikram Banerjee. Thank you.